Good morning, my friends. What's up? I don't know why I'm doing this early in the morning, but I guess I decided to do something a little different. There are times to where I like to just go outside to my local neighborhood and just walk. The best times to walk is at like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. But right now it's just a shade after 4, just a shade after a quarter after 4, and I just figured I'd just do a video. I don't know. Yeah, I'm really crazy at trying to do this at 4 o'clock in the morning, but um, the ideas are fresh in my mind right now, so I'll just go ahead and get it out the way. But it's really nice out here, and just it helps me to clear my mind and give me a lot of interesting clarity. So I'll just go ahead and just talk about some things on my mind. And what I want to tell you guys about is being serious about this abortion issue. You know, what truly entails what's at stake. I mean, we gotta really get serious about looking at abortion for what it is. Now, I don't deny that there's been a lot of positive strides that's been made in the pro-life movement, and we've accomplished a lot of stuff as pro-lifers over the past 40-some years since Roe v. Wade. But there's still a lot of things that troubles me about the movement, and that's just this idea that we don't call abortion murder. What I mean by that is you got certain people in the pro-life movement who would say that we don't want to look at abortion as murder for the women who get them because they've been deceived and they've been pressured by a lot of people, and they've just been put into a really bad position. They're scared, and we want to help these women the best way we can. And for the most part, I agree with that. But what I don't agree with is, how are we going to truly help women if we don't tell them the truth first about what it really is? I mean, if someone is struggling with a drug addiction or something like that, you got to be upfront with what they're doing. If they're addicted to drugs, you got to tell them they're addicted to drugs. How are you going to help them if you're not real about what's going on? If you don't just be upfront about them, what they're doing. In the same way, how can we truly help women if we're not telling them what they're doing? What they're doing is murder. And the bottom line is, if you murder a human being, whether born or unborn, it is equally as wrong. We can't pass special exceptions on not trying to call abortion what it is and say, well, only the abortionist who does the procedure should be the one penalized the heaviest. As Christians, especially, I guess you could say this is more of a video, really especially talking to the Christian pro-lifers. Now, as Christians, do you think God is going to look at women and say, well, look, you were deceived by an abortionist, or you didn't really know what you were doing, or something like that? Do you really think God is going to be that lax in his justice? No, that's not something that God is going to do. The bottom line is, if you live in today's 21st century, you have any basic idea of development in the womb, you know what you're doing. You know what's going on. I mean, the science is indisputable. It's not a person deep down in their hearts, deep down in their souls, that don't know what they're doing is murder. The pro-choicers, or I actually call them the pro-aborts, they know it's murder, and the women who get these procedures, they know it's murder too. I think we can be a whole lot more effective, a whole lot more successful if we stop dancing around what abortion really is. We gotta call it out for what it really is. It's murder. And women who get these procedures should be held liable just like the ones who perform them. This is the reason why when people are accomplices to crimes and things like that, heinous crimes, like someone is an accomplice to a serial killer, the person who was accomplice to the serial killer is held just as liable as the one who actually physically did the killings. They're in the same category. Why? Because it's not merely about the person who actually physically does the killings, but about those who facilitate and helping that person in that end, in that goal. So, if we want to start making a serious impact about abortion, we need to start calling it murder and be real and just tell them, look, you can't do this. Women are subject to the same penalties, or rather, they should be subject to the same penalties and punishments that abortionists are. Like if abortion were to be made illegal today, I wholeheartedly believe they should be subject to the same punishments and subject to the same penalties as abortionists. Now that is a view that's quite unpopular with a lot of today's mainstream pro-life message. I mean, it's obviously unpopular and obviously scorned at with pro-aborts and whatnot, but that message is obviously very unpopular with pro-lifers, with a lot of the mainstream pro-life movement today. I think Apologetics Studio stresses this quite a bit, and I think they're absolutely right. If we truly believe the dignity of the unborn is the same as those who are born, then we should look at it equally. It doesn't matter whether they're born or not. After all, a woman who drowns her kids in the water should not get off easily because of whatever pressures that she was led to do that. There were cases, or there's been at least one case, I think, of a woman who actually drowned her children, and I think she actually got off. I can't remember all the specific particulars, but I think she ended up getting off. They tried to give her excuses or, give her a way out, but if I get anything about this incorrect, then I'll apologize, and then I'll update my information in the description, but I believe she ended up getting a lighter sentence or ended up getting acquitted altogether, and a lot of people were rightfully upset about this. And we should be equally as upset when it happens to born children. So we really got to get serious about this. This is something that a lot of pro-lifers don't want to be honest about. They don't want to come forth and say, look here, this is murder and women are subject to the same penalties and should be held liable in the same way. Abortionists should be held liable. They just don't want to come out and admit to this because that would be too hard to do. That would be that would challenge. I don't know. It's just they just do it out of fear. They don't want to, push women away. They think if they come forward like that, then they're not going to be able to reach the women. But lying to them is better. That's basically the alternative they're advocating. It's lying. And that's just wrong. We have to be real about this. We can't turn this into something popular. If we want to do the right thing, then we got to say the right thing, whether it's unpopular with a lot of people or not. It's time to get serious about this, folks. If you really, truly value the dignity of the unborn, then you need to be serious about that and how you advocate against it. You can't play wishy-washy because the women who do it, deserve some sort of special treatment or some special look that abortionists don't. I mean, why isn't it that abortionists don't get the same sort of treatment? Why isn't it that the abortionist ain't looking at it as sort of a moral good in which they could be given the same sort of special treatment a lot of pro-lifers like to give women? I mean, you're going to have pro-abortionists make this challenge, and I think many of them have made that challenge and tried to press pro-lifers and pressure pro-lifers to say that, are you saying that women should be held accountable for murder? And thinking that would score them some sort of moral victory if they can push pro-lifers into a corner. That's nothing to even be pushed into a corner about. You have absolutely nothing to be concerned about by being honest about admitting that abortion is murder. You have nothing to be concerned about. You can easily push back against the pro-choicer, the pro-abort, and say, I say it's murder, so what? What are you going to do? What are you going to do, rage? That's not going to add any further weight to your argument just because you get aghast by that conclusion, you get aghast by that revelation. That's not going to add anything to your argument. That's just you just saying that you don't like it and you find it morally depraved on some level. But you've already given up any sort of case to argue against any sort of moral depravity once you begin to justify killing unborn children. So the fact that you would get upset and try to stand on this sort of high ground that it's morally depraved when you say it's morally depraved, but when you talk about killing children in the womb, that it's not. It's just question begging. That's all it really is. The pro-abort has absolutely no ground to stand on for any sort of moral superiority or moral high ground. You need to have the confidence as a pro-lifer. Each and every one of you need to have the confidence to stand on the moral truth that it's murder. We can still help women and yet tell them the truth at the same time. It's time for us to get serious. Call out abortion for what it is. You gotta be bold and say that yes, if abortion were to be made illegal today, they deserve the same penalties as the abortionists too. If you're not bold about that, then you're going to continue to lie to women, and you're going to continue to harm the movement, because the cold hard truth is better than a blissful lie. And I'm not going to be standing by any other sides of pro-lifers who want to entertain blissful lies just out of the sake of trying to reach women. And especially as a Christian, I trust in the Lord's word and what he says to really help women. I trust in what Jesus says in order to help women. I'm standing on his ground, not on the ground of fallible men who want to play games because of fear. They want to play games because they want to try to skate around what the pro-aborts are doing and not actually face it. And they do that out of irrational fear. But this video is dragging on. If you've got through this much, I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking a walk with me this early in the morning. But get serious about calling abortion murder, my friends. And get serious about confronting women who do this. You can do it also in such a way that it's loving and that expresses the fact that we are all sinners and that we all need forgiveness and that God is going to hold us all accountable, even for my sins. It's not going to, be any different from me. Even if you hate your own brother in your heart, God is going to hold you accountable and no different than a murderer. So once we start to come back to the foundation of looking at this biblically, looking at this from the perspective of Christ, then we'll really start to see a massive change. A change that pro-aborts did not want to see. So again, thank you for getting this far. Please share this video, comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, take care. God bless. Peace.